So I want to thank you. I want to welcome everybody and thank the members of our partners from Metro Government and also our colleagues from Vanderbilt for being here this morning. Always a pleasure to welcome everybody onto our campus. Mayor, you're a frequent guest, and we very much appreciate every time you come on our campus. Council members, we enjoy that as well. You guys are frequent visitors, and we very much appreciate the partnerships that we have with our local officials and local government. You know, there's a lot going on our campus right now, but there's a lot going on in Nashville as well, and how both entities manage that growth is very important. We realize that as stewards of this wonderful campus, and as someone that values the role of being a role model in our community. Mayor, based upon the announcement that you're making today, we are eager to work with you and your administration. This new policy is aligned very much so with our values, and we are committed to being a good partner in its appropriate application. And so we are proud and happy to have you on our campus. It's my pleasure to introduce Nashville's Mayor, John Cooper.
Thank you, Nathan. Thank you very much. Good morning, and thank everybody for being here. It's always lovely to be back on this beautiful campus. I think students are coming back soon. But thank you, Vice Chancellor, and I want to thank Diana Alicorn, our NDOT Director. Here's making such a big difference to Nashville, and also I want to thank two of our great council members, Emily Benedict and Tom Cash, who are making a huge difference for Nashville also, for the work that they do every day. Now, their work and my work is one to make our neighborhoods a priority. And for too long, Metro government has focused too many resources, say, on Lower Broadway and the surrounding area downtown, and not nearly enough on making Nashville a better city for families and residents. And part of that focus is making our city more neighborly and more walkable, livable in all of our neighborhoods. And that's the obligation of a growing city, a city on the move, like we are. Now, as we grow, it's our responsibility to ensure that there are safe and accessible ways for residents to navigate around town, regardless of the amount of construction activity that may be going on. And that's why today, together with NDOT, we're announcing a new regulation to protect Nashville's pedestrians and people like bicyclists, to make it easier and safer to get around our city. Now, right now, projects can apply for 30-day permits to block sidewalks and bike lanes, and NDOT and the government reviews those permits every 30 days and can extend them without limit, but really not anymore. We have to get out of accepting right-of-way closures with our growth, because we can do better than that. And effectively, all newly permitted construction projects can no longer obtain permits that obstruct you, the public's right-of-way, to our sidewalks, bike lanes, and other public spaces for a period longer than 7 days, without a plan to keep the public space open. Without a plan to keep the public space open. So don't take a temporary condition where you may need to offload some supplies and turn that into a long-lasting right to block the public access. Now, for existing construction projects that have permits to block the right-of-way, NDOT will be working with those developers when their current permits expire on a solution that will get them in compliance as soon as possible. Now, individual projects can apply for exceptions. There are always going to be exceptions. And Diana will get more into how NDOT will be executing on those new rules in a moment. But the reality is many developers are already being good neighbors and implementing measures that protect commuters and neighbors while proceeding with months and in some cases even years-long construction projects. And as an example of that, look no further than our hosts here at Vanderbilt University. Now, on your way in, many of you likely saw Vanderbilt's construction project along West End Avenue. It's been going on for some time, and that will result in what I'm sure is a beautiful new facility for students and faculty and visitors. But the sidewalk in front of that project along West End remains open because Vanderbilt went to the extra step of building structural scaffolding to protect people who are using that sidewalk. Now, construction projects account for nearly 90% of the sidewalk and bike lane closures in Nashville. It's worth repeating. Construction projects account for nearly 90% of the closures. So today's new regulations are going to have a huge difference for residents to take our right-of-way back. Even though we're in a growing environment with lots of construction going on, we do not have to give up our public right-of-way. And in the coming weeks, we're going to work with Metro Council, and I expect the folks here today will help lead that effort to codify today's policy changes and extend it to other right-of-way obstacles, such as special events. Now, this is the months of work by the team in my office and Diana's team at NDOT, and something that many folks in Nashville care deeply about, and it has been needed now particularly in this latest construction boom cycle. And I want to thank our friends at Walk Bike Nashville who've been passionate and effective advocates on this issue for some time. Our office has been in touch with their leadership, and we expect to be working closely with them as we prepare the upcoming council legislation. Now, today's announcement is coming just days after Metro Council passed the Vision Zero Action Plan and our 5-year implementation plan. I'm sure Diana will be happy to talk about that more, which is our strategy to eliminate all traffic fatalities and severe injuries while increasing safe, healthy, and equitable mobility options for all. Steps like the one we're taking today are a critical part of making that Vision Zero plan a reality. And it's also important to note that, like Vanderbilt, many folks in the development community understand that protecting sidewalks and bike lanes is essential in a growing city. If you've been to New York City, you've likely walked under some of the scaffolding that makes it possible to undertake major projects and not disrupt the pedestrian flow. And we can do that here in Nashville. And I'm confident that under NDOT stewardship, these new standards can be smoothly implemented and Nashvillians can start seeing a big difference. And another wonderful thing with our great council partners, NDOT, making it happen. NDOT just celebrated their 1-year anniversary, and creating a standalone professional Department of Transportation for the first time in Nashville's history is an important priority for me and for the city. And we could not be taking this kind of neighborhood-focused action without their leadership and expertise, because there's a professionalism and an expertise that's required to the implementation of transportation solutions that I'm deeply grateful to NDOT and NDOT's team for making possible. And in a moment, we can walk together on the project that I mentioned so everyone can see how Vanderbilt is protecting pedestrians. And I would like to thank everybody to be here. I'm proud that we're taking this important step towards a safer, more walkable, more livable city, to get in control of this construction environment to protect our neighborhoods with walkability and with access and in a safe way, and not just say there's a whole lot of construction happening in Nashville, you can't get there anymore because you can't use our public right-of-way to do that. That's going to be very limited, and we're going to effectively, in partnership with the industry, because other cities certainly have done that, create access for everybody. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Diana, our NDOT director. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Vice Chancellor. It's very exciting for me to be here on Vanderbilt's campus, and we're working very closely with y'all on some mobility initiatives, and we're super excited about that. So why is this policy important? Well, just to tack on to what the Mayor had shared, it's really about mobility, and it's about mobility for all modes and making sure it's safe. And this fits perfect into the framework of our Vision Zero, as the Mayor had mentioned. And that is all about creating safe passages for all modes. And this policy is going to get us a step further with that. We did go to and look at national best practices, so this wasn't something we plucked out of the air. We were actually very considerate about it. We reached out to our partner cities and looked at what they were doing and what were some of their wins and losses to get to a better policy. So we're super excited about moving this forward. So how do we plan on implementing this policy? Well, as the mayor had mentioned, as we move forward from this point, we'll be working with all different teams and contractors that come through that are requesting a policy, or a permit. If they're looking for a permit that's going to require more than 7 days, we will require them to fill out a variance. And that variance will actually be set down and reviewed by our staff. And I really quickly want to call out some staff members who were very instrumental in getting us this policy put together and reaching out to fellow cities and having a conversation about best practices. So I got Joseph here and Philip, and I will also want to include Brad, because those individuals were very dedicated to coming up with a very, reasonable and fair policy at this point. So we will be implementing this policy beginning today. The variance will be the process of more than 7 days. If you do take a 7-day policy out and you need more time, you're going to then have to come back and actually fill out a variance. So what we really want to do is start having the conversation up front with anyone who wants to close our right-of-way, so that we can be very thoughtful about it, again, so that we maintain our right-of-way, keep all modes available for our neighbors and for our community and for the businesses. So it's really about no longer having the right-of-way encroached. It's about everyone being best players in the right-of-way for all of us. We actually had increased, last year we had over 8 inspectors. This year we've increased it up to 24 inspectors that are out there in the field. So we've heard very loud and clear from our community about what their needs are and what their wants are, and we are applying that. So we're out there working much closer with the community and with our contractor and our businesses and our developments about meeting those mobility needs. I also just want to share a little bit of information. Last year, we actually issued over 37,000 permits. This year to date, from January to now, we are actually at 31,000. So you can see the dynamics of what's happening. We are a very fast-growing city, so it's really important to put the emphasis with this policy out in the community. So the work never stops. We're stepping up to meet Nashville's needs for our ever-growing city. And we want to also ask that if you see right-of-way obstruction, please report it through Hub Nashville. And thank you. I appreciate this opportunity.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.